is Nousheen Mukhtar again with yet another episode of My Story for You. Yeah, Dr. Andrea, I'm so impressed by all the work that you have been doing. I'm sure many hundreds of lives were changed through the difference that you've been making. Let's talk a little bit about your upcoming book under the title of Top 10 Traits of Highly
Resilient People.
Yes. So we have this amazing book coming up this fall, and Dr. Andrea is here because she wanted to cover her documentary with Rob, who's going to be one of the amazing people.
Yes, he's in the book and he's in the documentary.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. So I was with them yesterday, and that's how we got connected, and we decided, okay, we're going to do something together.
Yeah.
So what is the book about?
So the book is really bringing together the research that I've done over the last 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Just really to help people understand how you can recover, rebound, and even spring forward after you've had some type of a setback. So that can be a setback in business, in your love life, your personal life, or your physical health. And as a doctor, one of the things that eventually I tended to specialize in is the psychology and the neuroscience of what helps people recover from trauma. So I mentioned to you that I had this big wellness center. I started treating things like eating disorders and addiction with an acupuncture and a holistic protocol. And what was one of the interesting things that I found in treating people with these challenges is that many of them, not all, but many of them had some form of trauma. They've experienced, whether it was psychological trauma or emotional or physical abuse or sexual abuse, they had something happen to them that triggered them to have anxiety, pain, depression. And their way of coping was sometimes through food or alcohol or sex or gambling or shopping. So some form of impulse control behavior, some sort of an addiction. And it fascinated me because there were some people that you could put in this holistic environment where you're getting acupuncture and psychotherapy and getting good nutrition, and they would just flourish. They would start to thrive again. But then there were some people who just kept falling down, or they'd find some new illness or some new problem. It was like they just couldn't get up. And I became fascinated with this idea of resilience because I knew from the Chinese medical perspective and Ayurveda, there's this belief that our body, our brain, we have this innate ability to come back, to thrive again. No matter what knocks us down, whether that's illness, injury, accidents, the body has its own code that can turn on all of your physiologic mechanisms to bring you back to health. But sometimes that system can get overwhelmed. If you're continually, if you are continually experiencing stress, for example, either because you're in a stressful environment or an abusive environment or with work or school, or because you've had something in the past that didn't get healed. Somehow in your subconscious mind, that stress is still going on. And that can cause you to not get better, whether that's dealing with a physical health condition or any of the autoimmune conditions, like, for example, asthma and allergies and things like lupus, where we're seeing that there was like this subset of people who just kept getting sicker and sicker. And so I was fascinated by this concept of resilience and started doing research, mainly for my patients. And over time, I discovered that there were these 10 traits, and they're more like psychological traits that allow you to bounce back faster and stronger, no matter what stress you're under. And I decided to put it together in a book, but not just with my experience. I wanted other people to tell their stories of how they overcame challenges, whether it was a physical or emotional or financial challenge, and how they bounced back. And what we discovered is with each of these people telling their stories, sure as rain, they were exhibiting some of these top 10 traits. And so the vision has always been that through the book and through the documentary, people will be able to see themselves and recognize areas in their life where they can put these principles into place. Because the biggest news about resilience, as I said, we all have a code within us. Resilience is a series of traits. It's like a muscle group. And the more you work it, the stronger it gets.
True.
And it's all trainable. It's not like you're born resilient or not. You have this capacity and we can develop it. And so that's what this documentary and this book is all about.
Amazing. I'm waiting for it.
So am I.
Yeah. Okay. So you've been a brand strategist, you've been an integrative doctor, you've been a keynote speaker, and you've also been a meditation mentor.
Yes.
How important do you think meditation is for people meditation is for people while they are working on their personal strengths, on their wellness, on their business? So do you think it helps? Do you think there are some things that they should do to make it better? Like they should meditate more or less, or not meditate at all? What is your recommendation?
Everyone should meditate. Everyone. No matter what you're trying to improve, whether that's your physical health, your emotional health, your financial health, your business health. It's been my experience now, nearly 20 years into my career, that meditation is one of those ways that you can build up many of these resilience traits. And the first one is self-awareness. Like the number one trait of highly resilient people, the people who have a stress-resistant personality, they have insight, they have self-awareness. And if you don't ever take the time to just stop, breathe, count your breaths, or, count the ticking on the clock. If you don't learn to quiet your mind and be present, it's very hard for you to have self-awareness. So the idea of mindfulness and meditation is no longer tied to only religions, how it used to be. Like we know medically that it changes the brain. So if you wanted to be able to concentrate more, practicing meditation will help you. If you wanted to get better grades on your exams, practicing meditation helps you. If you don't want to be so angry and stressed out, practicing meditation helps. The key is to find the type of meditation that works for you. Because a lot of people will say, oh, I tried and my mind was full and I just can't meditate well. Well, it just means maybe you need to try something else. Because the objective is not for you to clear your mind of all thoughts. That's impossible until you have several years. The key is just for you to be present, fully aware. And if a thought arises, you're able to just watch it rather than get caught up in it and chasing it or trying to control it or judging yourself. So mindfulness is really about being present, being non-judgmental, and being really tuned in as the witness. Because the challenge that most people have is they collapse their identity with their thoughts. They think, oh, I'm this bad person because I thought this thought, or I must be bad because I'm having these problems. Whereas mindfulness is about recognizing you have this human life, and we all have this human ego, and we all have little chatter going on. We all do. But if I can just give myself a break, have a little more self-compassion, then I start to get this recognition that that's not me. My thoughts are not me. My failures and my mistakes are not me. Yes, I made a mistake, but that doesn't mean I'm a failure. And so it's so tied into everything in our entrepreneurial lives and in our relationships and in our physical health. And that's why I've been teaching meditation for now 15 years, is to really help people find a pathway in. Now, I happen to teach a 5-step process that even works for my stressed out business people who say, I can't just sit there and count my breaths or just breathe. So we do certain guided meditations. And that works too. Like studies show, it also works on the brain. So that's really why I recommend it so highly.
Amazing.
So do you meditate?
Yes, I do. Because it's important for me to maintain a focus on my goals.
Yes.
It helps me know myself better. It helps me understand where I'm headed.
Yeah.
And that's why I do it.
Yeah. It works.
It does. It helps. So while we're winding up, is there a message for young people who are just budding to follow their passion or finding their muse, who are trying to do something of their own that you would like to convey?
Well, we are in a different place here. We're in Dubai, where there's, so many different cultures. And I really do honor and respect that each culture has their own values. But I think the one value that covers all of them is that each of us is on this planet to fulfill our highest potential.
True.
And sometimes our culture and our family can try to push us, mainly because they want to keep us safe and healthy. But if you're finding that the direction that you're being pushed is not in alignment with what your heart and your soul are telling you, it's time for you to really go within. And I would say be brave, to liberate your authentic self. It's very easy to follow the path of everyone else. And sometimes that works for people. It didn't work for me. That's what led to depression and anxiety for me. And so if you feel that there's something inside of you that you want to share with the world, or there's a talent that you'd like to develop and explore, doesn't mean you're committing to it for the rest of your life, but allow yourself to take that step and go in that direction. Because you may find that it's part of your soul's evolution.
Yeah, agree.
And that's going to lead to the greatest fulfillment.
True. And without fulfillment, it's difficult for you to have your real life. It's difficult for you to have meaning for your existence.
Yes. And eventually people care about that. Now, early in your life, it may be all about getting good grades and getting to college and getting a husband or a wife. And it's all this external focus. But there does come a point in most people's lives where they want meaning and purpose. That's one of the top 10 traits of highly resilient people. People who have a connection to meaning and purpose find it so much easier. They find it so much easier to reach their dreams. And yeah, that's what I would say to the young people out there.
Thank you so much for being with us, Dr. Andrea. It was amazing to have you with us today. And we want you to come back to Dubai.
I would be delighted to come back. Thank you, Nousheen. Thank you.
It will be an absolute pleasure if you could make it after the launch of your book.
With pleasure. And then we can have a signed copy for your coffee table.
Yes, and we could actually have the entire Yes Girl community coming to meet with you. And yes, definitely, they would love to know more about you. Everybody would love to read the book as well. So we can have that.
Okay, let's do it.
Sure. Thank you so much. Pleasure.
Thank you.